What is up, everybody? I'm Monty Mike,
I'm Chris Noon,
and welcome to the Rockstar News,
the podcast. He
And
almost messed up.
All right, so we have a special guest on. Her name is Micheala Grant. She is a financial advisor with Transamerica, one of the oldest financial institutions in America. Today, we'll be discussing financing, money, and much, much more. Micheala Grant, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Michael and Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, for all the guests out there, sorry I cut you off there.
No, it's okay. I was going to say, coming to us from, you said Virginia or West Virginia?
Virginia.
Virginia.
What part of West? See, I want to say West
now
Virginia.
you messing
what
up.
part of Virginia?
I am 45 minutes from Virginia Beach, but
nice.
I'm a
Okay.
Floridian. I'm a Floridian. My whole family is in Florida.
Very nice. So she has to stay close to water.
Exactly.
Right.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just like Orlando.
Yeah, so for all the Hunger for crew out there, you were probably familiar with Micheala Grant. We went to high school together. You're probably friends with her on Facebook, and in fact, you can go find her on Facebook. And she does have a website, and it's howmoneyworks.com/Micheala Grant. So if you guys are interested in learning more about her, go ahead and hit her up.
That's a cool website, Micheala.
Thank you.
All fancy pants. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the description if you guys are interested in that. But we're going to get started with the show here. All right, so Micheala Grant, what exactly do you do for people?
I educate families on how money works. I teach them how money works.
I like it. So just financial literacy.
Right. I deal directly in financial literacy, and by educating families, I'm able to help them match up with companies who are going to best serve their needs.
That's awesome. Like, what is there a new family, those with young kids? Like, is there a particular that you kind of favor towards?
I guess I just say families in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 40% of single home families now.
Mm-hmm.
I myself am a single parent, so I do have a soft spot. But I also have a soft spot for married couples as well, because I feel like, they each both have their own challenges. So I love to help people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really appreciate you, Micheala, for doing that.
So, so you're a financial advisor and you help families, in particular single families. What are some of the things that everyone should know when it comes to financial literacy?
Well, they definitely should, first and foremost, have an emergency fund. I think that's pretty much at the top of my list right now, because there's a lot of families who are living paycheck to paycheck. By establishing an emergency fund, it's going to take them an average of 6 months. So they need to have 6 months saved up in a bank account. But I would say, from my experience, preferably something that's going to give them a higher interest yielding account instead of just a regular bank account. But most families do not have enough emergency funds, number one. And I think that's just that's the reason why we're in the situation that we're in right now.
Gotcha. Now, how much is 6 months the bare minimum, or would you recommend something a little more?
I guess I would say it depends on their cost of living. There's a lot of families who are living beyond their means right now. So if they saved exactly what they needed, it may not cover their luxury spending. Women are notoriously bad for spending. And I'm a woman myself, and most people, they're not really realizing how much time they're spending. But, you have a 15-year-old female and a 34-year-old woman, and they're spending the same amount of time shopping every day online, and that's about 94% of the population right now.
Whoa, so, that's crazy.
So overspending is the reason why we're having so much deficit. So I guess I would say, if the person is a notorious spender, they definitely want to have a separate account.
Yeah.
I would not have that linked directly to my bank account. But I definitely, if they can't live without it, then they would have to include it in their 6 months emergency plan, or more, or longer, on their lifestyle.
Yeah, I read an article a long time ago that was talking about how, like, the actual number that you need for, like, a emergency fund is like $2,400, and that is, like, pretty standard for a lot of people out there. In your experience, would you agree with that? Disagree with that?
I guess I would say I would disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I would disagree. That's only because the average American only makes 30,000 a year, and we're talking about a population of almost 75,000. I mean, 75% don't make over 30,000, which is drastic when you actually start to think about how much money they actually need to survive.
Yeah.
Um, 2,400 is good, but if their cost of living is about 2,400, with just having, average Americans buying a new car, or, they're still paying for their college debt, and they have homes, so I don't think the cost of the average household per monthly is going to definitely cover that. It will have to be somewhere around maybe $6,000
Mm-hmm.
in savings. I will just stick with that.
Because that
in
seems like
general.
it can cover about 6 months of, budget.
Yeah, but my thing is if you have somebody who has, poor financial literacy, they're not good at saving money
Or budgeting.
or budgeting.
Really?
What are the odds that they're actually going to save that amount of money?
Yeah, because usually, and me, I'm a bad spender, Michelle. I am a really bad spender. Usually, if I see money in my account, I spend it. So one of the things that I had to do is really just kind of stare at it and break down my budget.
Mm-hmm.
And I created separate accounts within my account. So I have my just regular checking account, and then below that I have my monthly expenses. So everything that's a monthly reoccurring bill, I put that every time I get paid. I take a chunk and I apply that to that month right there, to that account, so I know not to touch it, because that's where all my monthly expenses are. And then below that I have say like a vacation fund or an emergency fund, and I usually just live through gas, food, entertainment, through the top main checking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like what I'm saying is that I think a lot of people, I think the first step is realizing that you need a budget. And I don't think people, that first step is actually like a chasm. And
Yeah.
it's like most people are kind of just like living, on a wing and a prayer.
Right, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
So-
I had to create that kind of
Yeah.
system for me, because if I saw like $5,000 in one of my accounts, I'm gonna go, well, let's go out to the bars tonight, guys.
When you say living on a wing and a prayer, me having previously been married, and that was a relationship that was about 16 years with this one person. When it came to spending, I was not conscious in the marriage. I was not paying attention to as much as I could have and should have, because we had more money to spend. But transitioning into a single parent household, when I sat down and I actually was just really conscious of what I was spending and how much I was spending, coffee costs an average of $2.50 a cup at the gas station.
Mhm.
And when you start to hack at the amount of money that you're spending per day, I'm gonna tell you, I actually cried when I first did my budget by
Mhm.
myself.
Wow.
And it was devastating, the amount of money that I was spending per month that I had been spending for over 10 years.
Whoa.
Like, I'm just being so transparent right now.
Yeah.
It was
Now, if it'd be
it
really
was-
transparent, if you tell us what it was. So what was the number that
Well-
made you cry?
the number that made me cry. I was spending probably in excess of over $600
No.
a month in just
Okay.
stuff I didn't need.
Gotcha.
When I started saving, I was saving about $800 a month. And this is living in the Midwest. Granted, I wasn't in Florida. That's not that level of savings is going to be really hard depending on the situation of the person.
Mhm.
Let me stress that everybody's
And
situation is different. But my particular situation, I had a beautiful little home. I was renting. It was absolutely gorgeous. I had everything that I needed in that vicinity. I was totally content. I was able to save $800 a month.
Yeah.
So that number made me cry when I realized. I was like, wow.
When you actually break it down. Now, I've been in that situation. Like I've been self-employed for partially self-employed, I should say, for like the last decade or so. And I've had businesses where like literally I was too afraid to look at my bank account, and I'm just like, don't want to look at it because I don't want to face reality about what my financial situation is. And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people are just kind of, they're sitting there, they're looking at their bank accounts, or actually they're not looking at their bank accounts. They know the money that's coming in is going out. So they rather just sit there and just spend money on fast food, whatever. Just ignore the situation and hope that somehow, you know, the lottery ticket that they just purchased that they shouldn't have purchased is going to alleviate all their issues. So I think like facing that fear, getting realizing that, looking at your budget, breaking that number down, and you know, essentially, you may have to cry. You may have to sit there.
You're gonna hate it.
Yeah, you're gonna hate it.
I
Yeah.
hated it. I had a battle.
Yeah, and I say that because you know the number one spender is emotional.
Yep.
They're
Mhm.
emotional. It's emotional bond. We're so attached emotionally to our spending that it's causing us to have really bad, I won't just say lifestyles, but really unhealthy relationships with money. And then I feel like about time the person realizes they have a really unhealthy relationship, they're about to hit retirement.
Mm-hmm.
It is just, it's like ripping the Band-Aid off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're hitting retirement, and like I said, I had 10 years, you know, and we're talking about the working class and baby boomers. They're getting ready to retire. When you hit retirement, you don't spend. Most people don't want to spend anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And
yeah, no, I've been attacked with by the senior old lady who was like, "I'm on a fixed income." I'm like, "Oh, so is everybody else."
Yeah, a lot of people are on a fixed income.
So we're everybody else in this country, except they don't realize it. You know, they're sitting there, you know, spending gobs of money, and
and we also live in a society where everything is shiny object syndrome. It's just like, and also kind of like envy, if you want to kind of go that route. It's just like anything you see on social media, people that you idolize or influencers, they all have the latest gadget or the latest iPhone, and they feel like they gotta have it to be a part of something, of some kind of community. So kind of like shoots themselves in the foot instead of staring at the things that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
totally
their retirement,
agree.
like their retirement.
Who doesn't want a shiny object? Let me tell you, one of the number one spenders right now for, you know, just buying things and doing things are women. We love shiny objects. We love to get the frillies, you know, we like the really beautiful shirts and dresses and makeup. Women are the number one shoppers that are targeted for buying products.
Mm-hmm. I can maybe not just because of like the whole sex thing, but also the pink tax on everything. Like so many objects that women have to buy or do buy are just way too overpriced, and like they have the whole pink tax thing, and it's just like I can see how they may spend an average of more already because they're a woman. No offense, Michelle, but then you also have that kind of a tax on it, on some of the goods that they buy.
Exactly. And I say that because, of course, I myself am a woman, and these are hard conversations for people to hear. You know, women, we spend way too much. We're probably the number one propulsion of Black Friday. Like, we will go out.
Yeah, we actually talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about Black Friday last week.
Yeah, we actually talked about that, like Black Friday and the amount of people. And I was just like, how many people actually go into debt because of Black Friday?
Oh, tons. Consumer debt is super high.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the problem with this holiday season. Not the problem with the holiday season, but one of the problems with the holiday season is that there's tons of people out there who kind of feel like they're forced to spend money that they don't have because they don't want to seem like a cheapskate and they want to get the kids something. And I think like just like sitting down, like, yes, you may not have a great Christmas this year, but there's other things you could do. Like giving presents out to people isn't the only way.
Yeah,
and
if you have
to go into debt just to buy someone something.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know what I decided to do? I'm the type of parent, I try to be practical. And this is of course financially related. I finally sat down, you know, and decided to go ahead and start my kids' whole life policies, you know, and start their level of retirement all the way to, you know, to the end stage of their life. And I am literally gifting that to them for the holiday season because that is a gift that is going to stay with them for the rest of their life.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
The level of toys that we buy that are broken within the first 6 months, and babies are walking around, you know, completely uninsured. Parents are uninsured. The houses are not even insured. Like, you know, that's your realm. You know, people don't understand the importance of actually investing for the lifetime. Yeah. You know, and that's where we're at right now. The quick buys are in. the lifetime is hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you
Those
brought up the
lines are not
whole life insurance part there.
Yeah.
Could you go a little more deeper into what a whole life is, how it benefits people, and why people should consider it?
Yes. So particularly what we offer is index accounts as far as allowing the individual or family to invest into the policy. So as they invest into the policy, they get a certain percentage of growth in the policy. The policy is 100% backed by the stock market, so they'll never lose. It is in a protected account, and these are some of the oldest types of financial accounts in the U.S. Most people just don't educate themselves enough to know about these accounts. But the one that I got my children, I got them in my index account so I can put the money in every month. So every month I'm going to be accumulating money for them, and it's like a bank account. Let me stress that. It is like a bank account. You can access the money like a bank account. You can add funds to the bank account, and it'll keep growing with compound interest. So compound interest is the number it's going to take for your money, the amount of years it's going to take for your money to double as it compounds in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Einstein called this the eighth wonder of the world, and most people don't even know about compound interest unless they get credit cards.
Yeah, exactly. Compound interest is, like you said, is one of the most powerful forces in the world. And I didn't learn about that until probably like 3 years ago.
Compound interest.
Compound interest. And not just in the sense of like, oh, we know what interest is, but like how powerful compound interest is. And we sort of talked about that a little earlier, and I'll go into that later. But
yeah, and like what will be in an index fund would be a great way to start for compound interest.
Yeah, so that's essentially what we're saying with the whole life insurance policy. You have an index fund that's part of it. This is how the Kennedys got rich. This is how,
this is how people stay wealthy. This is how they protect their livelihood, their children. These types of accounts are protected from divorce. And let me say that because divorce is 40%, or 50 to 40%. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there.
No, please provide the facts.
Yeah, exactly.
The numbers don't lie. It protects against divorce. It will protect your children, and you can still have the benefit of the death benefit, and then there's living benefits. Where if you say something happened and you fell and hurt yourself, like you were walking and you slipped and fell and you hurt your hip, and you can't do out of the 5 daily activities, you can't do 2 of those. You have cash direct access to that account, and it will give you the long-term care that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't understand that the values and the commodity that we have as individuals is actually in us. We are the commodity, and it is up to us to protect our children, because a lot of households are losing their parents, and they don't have the breadwinner anymore. And a lot of these insurances and policies are protected with the company. And once the company can drop someone at any time and take their insurance back. And I say that to also stress that it does happen to people in the military. For some reason, people think that when they're in the government, they're totally protected.
Mm-mm.
If something happens to you and you lose that benefit, you can't walk, or you're medically discharged. Once you hit that level of pendency, your value as a human changes. So the companies are not going to cover you. They're not going to give you the protection. They're not going to help you so you can help your family. So it's important for people to start looking for these things while they're healthy. The baby boomer, the highest rate of baby boomer retirement are about to hit. We have a major gap in our industries when it comes to financial literacy and education, but we also have a huge gap in people understanding that the workforce right now is down. We're spending way too much and we're not working hard enough. So we got a lot of babies in the crowd.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people who want to get.
I feel like there are so many rabbit holes we can dive into with just that one last statement.
Yeah, exactly.
About like the workforce being down and not knowing what to do or why you should be doing.
Now, is it a case of you probably will know this more than me, but is this the case of, because you hear the stories all the time, like, like people are working 3 jobs, but these are like 3 minimum wage jobs. Is this just simply the sign of the economics in the country right now, or is just, they're just down on their luck? Like,
no, I think I'm gonna be so like, people are not ready to to actually educate themselves on what they need to know in order to do better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the average person is working 3 jobs, but if they really thought about it, if they work 2 good ones, you know, they could save more. Or if they had 1 good one and they actually started their business, they actually leaped out on faith and had a solid business plan. They understood finances. They knew where they were going, and they took more risk. They would gain more in the end. A lot of people don't take enough risk when it comes to just educating themselves and having a better lifestyle. They will lean on the credit card, spend too much, you know, and like you say, get caught in 3 jobs. But the average American, and this is kind of skewed, the average American right now needs about 3 jobs to help them pay down their deficit of student loans, because each household right now is sitting at $8,000 in debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I also work in debt relief. I work in like all financial areas I work in. So the average household right now is about $8,000 in debt. And then you got them who, you know, they're potentially, you know, having babies, and then one parent can't work. So yeah, they will have to pick up 3 jobs. You know, it's not the average person. They just, like you said, they just have more than one.
Yeah.
You know, the economy is not suitable right now.
Right. And I mean, what's this? You know, a lot of people are dropping out of school or choosing not to go to college. And so when they, instead of getting 3 jobs, they want that 2 or that 1 quality job, but they're not educated enough. And nowadays, or bachelor degrees are
they want to go to school to get a degree that they're not going to use and just be in debt for.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of degrees out there for that. You know, it's just, and I agree with you. You got to fail, though. You have to take risk. And Elon Musk said it best. Failure is an option. If things are not failing, you're not innovating.
Yeah, I think that's easy for you as a single male to, not single, but as a male that doesn't have a family and you're working, and so is your significant other working, compared to someone who's either, and I'm playing devil's advocate right now.
Please, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. This is the population. Like, think of you're a single mother. You are in what is called this financial death cycle, where you work long enough to pay your bills, but you're still not making enough, but you can't leave your job, because if you leave a job, you go further into debt. And by debt, I mean, like, there's people out there who are not in debt right now. They just can't pay the rent if they stop working. Yep. And so if they stop working and they can't pay the rent, then they lose their house. Yeah. So people get into this vicious cycle of like, oh my God, if I stop moving, you know, basically they're living hand to mouth, but they're getting nowhere. They're like on a treadmill that just keeps going over and over again. I think I'm getting another call there.
So you're about to ask me, what should they do?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So if a person is stuck in a position where they can't leave their job, you know, you set it all up, they should definitely look at cutting their spending.
Facing
it. They will have to cut back, and some people are they're so
my luxuries.
They're so upside down. Well, they're so upside down.
My Netflix.
Spending. It's almost more beneficial for them to go ahead and close their credit cards down, depending on how much they have and what they're doing. Like, don't close them all down, because you need lines of credit. You know, let's not be reckless. But you know, shut some of those things off and literally save money. So, like, you know, pay off. Like, send them to collections or however you need to do it. You know, when I say collections, I mean like consolidate all of your debt. You know. And pay that amount that you can afford if it's something you can pre-do. And this is something that I do. And I'm saying this now because it's possible. You know, consolidate your credit, get that stuff squared away, free up money in your income, and first and foremost, establish more accounts, emergency funds, things that are going to be beneficial for the long run. Start establishing those things now. Stay where you're at as far as the job, but really start to aggressively attack where you're at, because we're living on borrowed time. Yeah. People seem to think we're going to live forever. This is not a permanent. This is not a permanent place.
Well, I mean, just like 2019 is now over. Yeah, and I just want to listen to my Spotify decade rap, and I'm like, oh my God.
Right. I keep making these little jabs because people they're not waking up. They're not waking up unless they're uncomfortable. We have to have these uncomfortable conversations because now we're fighting for our lives. There's a lot of people out here fighting for their lives right now. And I'm not talking about the luxury of spending. I'm talking about straight up being able to put food on their table.
I've always said rock bottom has saved more lives than all the helpers and guardians and angels out there.
Right. Yeah, once you get
smashing
hit,
to the bottom, you're just like, oh, gotta wake up.
But what's crazy?
And this is what happens.
Yeah, and to me, what's crazy is that people are getting complacent being down there, and then they're looking towards the government for.
Well, I don't think they're once you hit rock bottom, that's when you wake up. Yeah, like you hit rock bottom, you wake up. But I think is when people are hovering just close to it, and they're just like, you know what? I'm kind of comfortable.
I'm comfortable running my entire life on this treadmill, but once they fell off the treadmill, that's rock bottom hits, and you gotta face it. It's crazy too. Is like we live in a world of subscription, $5 here, $6 there, $8 here, $15.
I hear it all the time, Pandora.
Yeah, it's crazy how many subscriptions that I actually looked into it. I'm have like 4 or 5 subscriptions. Spotify, Netflix, Disney Plus, things like that, and it adds up. And it's like if I was truly in a situation where I needed to tackle like my debt or really get a hold of my spending, I'm going to eliminate all of that. Those are the first things to go because you don't need it. You don't need Spotify because you can still listen to music for free. Just handle that next 30 seconds or a minute of commercial. You don't need Netflix. You don't need Disney Plus.
I mean, hell, I watch more YouTube than any of those.
So do you guys know that the average person, in order to be successful, right? The average person, we're talking about strictly financial. In order to start being more successful financially, the average millionaire reads 13 books a year, and they actually apply what they learn.
Yeah.
That's the game changer. It's self-development. You have to develop yourself. You have to reconnect with, where your goals are, where you're heading, and you absolutely have to stick to the plan. Don't deviate. If the plan is working, stick to it. If it's not working right now, for all those people out there who are living on these budgets and it's not working, you got to sit back down and redo the plan. I think the average household should go the full 6 weeks. I feel like 6 weeks is a good time frame to see if something is working for a family. If you hit those 6 weeks and it's not working financially or something is wrong, sit down to the table and redo it. Rework the plan. Do not fall prey to if it's not working, because you're not going to improve financially. You're not going to be on top of your game. And it's way too many families out here right now who are struggling, and they don't have to.
Yeah, you got to learn from your failure. I think that's a great time frame. Like 6 weeks. I mean, you got a month and a half worth of, trying to make it work. If it's not working, if you're doing enough steps or keeping track of what you're doing and where you're spending and where the money's going, then if you fail, then you fail, but look at it so you can address it for the next 6 weeks. And next, by the time a year goes by, your credit's better, your debt's better, stress, anxiety starts going down. Man,
exactly.
Hey, what's a tool that an average person could use? Like that could be free,
a tool,
like an app or something, like keeping track and budgeting and stuff like that.
Well, I myself, it's funny you say this. Let me actually pull up mine. I actually have a bill manager.
Is it an app?
My bill manager. Yep, it's an app. It's called Bills Manager. I want to say you can get it on Google, and you can also get it on Apple. I'm an Apple person. But there's a whole bunch of different little apps that will allow you to put all of your monthly income. You can dump, like for the Bills Manager, you can dump all of your monthly income into the app itself, and it'll make little cues for you, and it'll show you by calendar what's going to be up to get paid. Like, so if you're hitting the 5th, you got to have rent by the 5th, or however you make your payment, just upload all the information, and it'll give you what you have left for the month to pay. It'll give you what you currently owe and any alerts that are coming up.
That's awesome.
You can set it to where it's something that's periodical. You can set it for the year, the month, the day. I mean, you literally can get your money down to the penny.
That's awesome. Isn't there an app called Mint? Like, I use Mint.
It is an app called Mint. I do Mint. So now Mint for me, I feel like and I say this from a place of sweetness with Mint. I feel like Mint permeates a lot of my different platforms. They want total access. They want direct access to my bank account, which is fine. But people need to understand whatever app they use, they need to understand that certain information is going to be accessed in their account if they're using something like Mint.
Yeah. So you're saying that they could access the information, but or like take the money.
So whatever your available balance is in your bank account is going to transition into Mint. Like certain little things where the bank is directly tied to Mint, or like you use the Cash App and you could directly just put money in there and pull money out.
Right.
Mint actually, so you can actually upload your bank information and it will actually keep an account of all your money in the bank. Now, some people work better like that.
If I see my money, I'm if it's in front of my face, I'm not going to ignore it.
Well, the biggest issue with like Mint and other programs like that is they typically purchase or rent server spaces in China. So a lot of your data that you're using for a lot of these apps is being shipped over to China servers, which, in China, the Communist Party or the government has total access to everything. Like there is no like, oh, you need a warrant to get this. No, if they want it, they get it. So not that they can take your money or they're going to do that,
but they can see.
But they have all your financial information. They're collecting that data. And the thing is, how does Mint make their money?
That's a good question.
They probably sell that data to other people, and they're saying, "Well, this person likes to spend on this." So even though Mint is like designed,
you're getting into a conspiracy theory there. I see that rabbit hole.
Well, like that's the whole point. Like the number one commodity in today's economy is data, and if they could take that data and they can package it and sell it to advertisers, that's how they make their money. And I haven't used Mint in forever, but it's one of the reasons why I stopped. And I went to using Simple.com, which is like an online bank.
I like Simple.
Simple's great. It has like all the features. It's still simple. It has all the great features.
That's why I mentioned it, because we're getting into a space where our information is being so transparent with other companies. You really want to be more mindful of what you're doing financially, because your credit is linked to a lot of these things. A lot of these places are also reporting them to the credit bureau. You really are starting to open yourself up to a lot more scrutiny when it comes to the share information.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want people to be aware of that, because for me, I'm a little bit more private. I was on Mint and I'm like, oh, this is just too much. But the bill manager works for me. I like my Bank of America to be my Bank of America, my Navy Federal to be my Navy Federal. I have 2 different institutions for a reason,
Right.
So I do think that when it comes to tools and things that people can use, people need to be brutally honest with themselves. Do you work better in the envelope money system? Do you work better, having your money all in one account that you can spend for the month? Do you work better before you pre-do your grocery list before you go grocery shopping? No one should be stepping, if you're on a budget, no one should be stepping in the grocery store without having their stuff written down. Yeah. Stop mindless shopping. Shop with a purpose, buy with a purpose, spend with a purpose.
Control that impulse buy.
Exactly. One of the things that worked best for me, with me being a mom, is that I made a pre-list on the refrigerator, all the stuff that I could possibly need for the week. And I had my specific shopping days where I would not deviate from those days. And it's rigorous at first, but when you actually get into the habit of understanding that you're sticking to a budget, you start to realize that you need your calculator, or you definitely need to make sure you're equivalating, you're tracking your money down to the penny, because like you said, Netflix adds up. I have a gym
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I have certain insurances coming out. I have this extra little ice cream I like to get on Tuesday. And it's so silly, but that's your money. It's leaving your safety net to go out into the world. At least know where you're spending it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're coming up on our time here. Real quick before I let you go, what are some good things that you see happening in the world of financing? In
the world of finance,
yeah. When it comes to individuals, like what trends are you seeing that are actually give you hope?
Well, I can tell you right now, double minority women right now are killing the game when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
Women who are born in foreign countries, because they're able to speak multiple language. They can help more people. There's more people who live here who are from other countries in certain areas, and they need financial help just as much as the average American. The only difference is a lot of those countries, they're already in a certain state, and they come here and they realize that their money is so important. So what's going on is that women are completely dominating the financial industry right now, and specifically women who are double minority. She's an Asian woman. She's dominating. She's from, she's from Uganda. She comes here. She's dominating. Like these women are coming over here, and they're able to help more massive amounts of people because they can speak two languages.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's one of the main things that's going on right now that I think is phenomenal. When it comes to finances as well, I think people are being a little bit more smart about their education, and I don't blame them. We can't just jump into things anymore. So people are really trying to either apply what they learned as far as going to school, or they're starting to pick up more trades. So there's a lot more things that are coming up as far as skill set versus mindset when it comes to certain jobs. If you're better as an engineer, or you want to be an electrician because you like that, a lot more people are actually looking at the skill set versus dive right into school. And then another thing is that when it comes to finances, a lot more people are to the point where it's starting to become a little bit more important to them, because now you have a lot more people working. You have to work in order to get the income. So a lot more people are taking that seriously. Spending is not as high as it used to be, believe it or not.
Wait, so
spending is down.
Even through Black Friday, it was down?
Well, remember we did the stats saying that Black Friday was a little down. Yeah.
Compared to like previous years.
Yeah.
Right. It's slowing down. So people are starting to be like, hold up. We did this for the 6 weeks and it wasn't working. We got to do something different. Instead,
it's more like we did it for 6 decades and now it's not working.
Right. So they're starting to become a little bit more conscious and smarter about what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, Micheala Grant, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yes, thank you.
Tell us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us where people can find you.
They can find me at howmoneyworks.com/Micheala Grant. They can hit me up on Facebook. My Facebook page is called Financially Healthy. My contact information is up there, and they can always, shoot me a message in Messenger, and I'll respond.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and put all the information down in the description down below so you guys can check her out.
Absolutely. And Micheala, I got a question for you. How many states can you operate?
Me right now, I can operate. We're all over the United States.
Beautiful.
We're all over the United States. I can operate anywhere in the United States. We're all over.
She's unlimited.
She's 50 state limited.
She's 50 state limited
in one territory.
And I stress that's the power of working with Transamerica. Transamerica has been a pinnacle in people's lives, and Transamerica was the company that birthed Bank of America. So it's a huge deal to have the 24, operational type of information that people can get access to when working with a company like that big. There's tons of information online.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Micheala Grant, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll love to have you again, so let us know when you're available. Any last words from you, sir?
Just thanks. I mean, that was very educational. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on the show. And for all you guys out there, check out the description down below so you can check her out. If you have any questions or you just want to leave comments down below, go ahead and feel free to do so. Make sure you subscribe so you can follow us and check out our other podcasts and our other videos we have on our channel. And that's it. You guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yes, sir. Take care, Micheala.